Hello, my lovelies. Today we will read The Legacy of Vinum, Chapter 2, written by Striker Sky. I watched Percy time and time again surprise me, from his childhood days to the time he was expecting his first child and happily married to Castor, the love of his life. It never failed to give me pause. Until now, he never ceased to amaze me. He was my adopted son, but I never felt the need to point it out. I had raised him since he was 10. He was my kid, my once annoying teen, and now fully integrated into the family. Far beyond Poseidon's reach to protest anymore. Percy Vinum suited him officially. Percy was also stubborn. The stubbornness persisted into his adult years. He insisted on going for a daily walk to keep the kid in his belly healthy. Sure, it was just a walk, but a walk up a cliff to see the ocean. It was impossible to reason with him. Even his husband just gave in to his whims. He was barely showing, but mortals were fragile, and Percy made it up the hill, his hands raised in glee. After completing the small hike up the hill to see the same beauty that never changed. Seeing him, all grown up, I couldn't help but ponder. Change. I was a god, and change was something I never had to worry about. Not long ago, he was the boy who never left my side. How long until his hair started to grey? 54, but he keeps trying to hide it. When would he be too tired to walk up these hills? When you think he's far too young, and you'll think the pain isn't worth it. Dad? Percy's voice interrupted my thoughts, and I found myself gazing into the sea-green eyes that never changed. At times like this, I would usually talk to Ganymede, but since his last day with us was at the wedding a few months ago, I hadn't been able to. Will you die one day? Percy, I asked, the weight of the question heavy on my mind. Taken aback, he smiled softly. Not for a while, Dad, he replied, his words carrying a bittersweet undertone, as if acknowledging that the fragility of mortality. But to me, it was a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of life, even that for demigods. That is, if he didn't meet his end at the hands of some monster along the way. These hero kids. How I wished they could simply find lasting happiness. I had witnessed time and time again children younger than Percy meet unfortunate fates. At his age, the likelihood was diminished, but possibility still loomed. It was one of the reasons why I harbored a sense of disdain towards Camp Half-Blood, who wanted to watch something grow and watch it wither away when you blinked. How long do mortals live? Percy pondered, his hands resting on his chin, reflecting on the question with a touch of melancholy. Sally told me about my grandpa. He lived to be 100, so... Percy trailed off, but I filled the gap. Castor as well, I added quietly. Memories of Castor and Pollux, who were older than Percy, flooding back. Percy spoke gently, his gaze drifting towards the ocean. Dad, it might be a bit shorter than me. Castor and Pollux are older than me. It must hurt Percy to think of a time he might have to live without his husband, as he stared at the ring on his finger. I hummed, contemplating the weight of mortality. I had raised those two twins, doing my best after receiving them at the tender age of 5, though I may have faltered as a father at times, struggling to grasp their desires and emotions. I made every effort, more than what many other gods could claim. Those two children were cascading curls make me wonder If Percy's child would bear more resemblance to them, or perhaps echo the spirit of a young Percy I never met, I would be long without you, Percy. And eternity never seemed so scary. I muttered softly, the gravity of the statement hanging heavily in the air. Percy seemed momentarily stunned, his eyes widening before he averted his gaze, perhaps concealing a tear or two. A pang of selfishness struck me, yearning for more time with him. Will you try to stay, Percy? Remain in mine and Ganymede's memories forever? I asked, my voice tinged with a pleading undertone. Percy struggled to contain his emotions, his expression reflecting the anguish of the idea of parting from me. Of course, Dad, he replied, his voice barely audible, but you needn't to worry. There will always be someone just as annoying as me to keep you company. I couldn't help but smile through the sadness, grateful for Percy's attempt to lighten the mood. Deep down, I knew that nothing could replace him. Damn, I was right. Walking up the same old hill, gazing upon the familiar scenery. A scent of salt mixed with a patch of strawberries greeted me. Grandpa, show me magic again, a youthful voice called out, accompanied by a small hand tugging at my shirt. I glanced down to see black hair and sea green eyes, reminiscent of Percy. Annoying, just like him, I thought, with a fond smile, as the child persistently sought my attention. I will in a moment, little one, but first come say hello to my sons, I murmured, settling in front of the 3 gravestones where Percy, Castor, and Pollux rested. 100 years had passed, yet it felt like mere moments. The child joined me, eagerly waving and chatting at a greeting, their energy mirroring Percy's. It was bittersweet, seeing this new generation so full of life, while remembering the ones I had lost. Percy and Castor. Kid had kids of his own, then a grandkid, and now great-grandchild he would never get to meet. Would Percy be content knowing the tranquility of the world, in Elysium to Percy and Castor's love still flourish, undisturbed by earthly trials? Is Pollux ever the loyal companion, still by their side, or has he found his own peace? Do they miss me and Ganymede, or are they happy? I prayed for the latter, hoping that even in paradise they wouldn't endure the ache of missing us. Above all, I hoped that each of them found true happiness in their eternal rest. I smiled, feeling a bittersweet mix of emotions wash over me. Despite the ache of loss, there was comfort in knowing that Percy's spirit lived on in the generations that followed. And as I watched the child play and laugh, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the love and memories that Percy had left behind. Recalling the rest of our conversation, I couldn't keep in my memories. I regret having you, I teased Percy, attempting to lighten the mood. Percy's expression contorted in playful offense. You adopted me, he retorted with a grin. A grave mistake, I quipped back, and he erupted into laughter, the sound echoing as a cherished melody in my mind. I left my hand on the cool surface of the gravestone, the weight of loss settling heavy upon me. My voice trembled as I whispered, as it always did when I visited, You were right, Percy. How is it possible these children remind me of you all? But none of them could ever replace you, my dear children. Rest in peace. So this was the end of The Legacy of Vinum, and the series The First Zone Child of the Gods. I hope you liked it, and please check out the author. See you next time. Bye bye.